There were three guys, three running backs that had particularly big days. And so now I'm going to ask you for your level of confidence. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least confident, 5 being the most confident, how confident are you in these guys actually having success going forward? So let's start with Nyheim Hines. And we talked earlier about Jonathan Taylor. In fact, we're going to talk a lot about this Colts backfield today because it just is kind of a head scratcher for me. But Nyheim Hines had the big day, just 62 total yards, but he had a pair of touchdowns. He also had a pretty phenomenal gymnastics round off in the end zone after he scored one of his touchdowns. So props to him for that. But on a scale of 1 to 5, how confident are you that this is the real deal for Nyheim Hines?
Can I do a 2.5? I feel like this is
Sure.
The Price is Right. It's like, give me a number between 1 and 5. It's like, come on down, Bob. I'm going to go with the 2.5 on this one because, like we said, we still think Jonathan Taylor is the lead back in that offense, right? Maybe? No? We don't know. It's so confusing, and this is the hard part because Nyheim Hines, he had 57 scrimmage yards with no touchdowns over the last 2 games, but then he had those 2 receiving touchdowns and 54 receiving yards yesterday. So the inconsistency is too much for me to try to figure out. I love his gymnastics and the fact that he can flip once he does get into the end zone, but it's not happening often enough for me to go above a 2.5.
The Colts said that Frank Reich, the head coach, I think the offensive coordinator Nick Sirianni said before the season that there could be a game where Nyheim Hines will have 10 catches. Now, it didn't happen on Sunday. He only had 3 receptions, but 2 of them ended in the end zone. And so I think there's always going to be a role for him in this offense, but I don't think you're going to see this sort of production consistently from him. So I would say that, I'll make it a 2, I guess, for me, my level of confidence. But it was a nice week for Nyheim Hines for anybody who started him, which I'm pretty sure is essentially no one. So good luck getting that happen again in the future. Meanwhile, Zack Moss in Buffalo, he had a 2-touchdown day as well for the Bills and their win over the New England Patriots, which to the frustration, but probably not surprise of anybody who started Devin Singletary, because that's Singletary's lot in life. But after what you saw from Zack Moss, 1 to 5, how confident are you that this was the breakout game we've been waiting for?
This is one that I'm a lot more confident in, and I want to give him a 4. I've had Zack Moss on my bench for a while now because I've been really waiting for these breakout performances and these breakout games, and he's been quietly incredibly productive this entire fantasy season. He had 2 receiving touchdowns yesterday, 81 yards. And though he did finish with fewer rushing yards than Devin Singletary, we do have to pay attention to his touchdown upside, scoring 3 touchdowns in the last 5 games played this season, whereas Devin Singletary, he's allergic to the end zone. So for that touchdown upside alone, I like Zack Moss, and I'm giving him a 4 for the rest of the season.
One thing that I put out on Twitter on Sunday, and after Zack Moss had his day, a lot of people were sort of saying, well, Zack Moss is he's a better running back than Devin Singletary, and my response was, I don't know necessarily that that's the case. He's a more valuable fantasy running back than Devin Singletary because he does score touchdowns. I continue to maintain that Devin Singletary still needs 3 forms of ID in order to enter the end zone. So in that respect, Zack Moss is going to be the more valuable guy, but Singletary is still very effective. He just tends to do his work between the 20s, and it takes a big play for him to get in the end zone. So I think both these guys are good. I think the Bills are going to continue to use them very effectively as sort of a thunder and lightning duo. So I say that this is, I think, a good thing for Zack Moss. I think we're going to see more performances like this. And I wouldn't just completely toss Devin Singletary away. I think he's a good running back. I just wish they would, throw him a bone every once in a while and let him score a touchdown. The guy does a lot of good work. Let him get a treat every so often. All right. So on the other side of that game was Damien Harris for the New England Patriots. And Harris, for the second time this year, went over 100 rushing yards in an offense that seems to still be kind of scuffling and trying to figure things out. How confident are you from 1 to 5 that Damien Harris might be the answer back there?
I'm going way lower on this one than I was with Zack Moss. I'm going with a 2 because, you guys, we understand, do not ever trust a New England Patriot running back, right? Do not ever trust a New England Patriot running back. I swear, Bill Belichick, he wants to die He wants to kill all of our fantasy dreams because he understands that we're in this conundrum every single season. Now, again, this was the second kind of really breakout game for Damien Harris, and he has emerged as the Patriots' leading backfield rushing option, but we need to manage the workload expectations because Cam Newton is still rushing the ball, and Cam Newton is rushing the ball while also rushing it and getting into the end zone. So yes, Damien Harris, he's been great. We could read his stat lines. We can make arguments that you should start him each and every week. But my trust level is still at a 2 because we know with Bill Belichick and the running backs who play for the Patriots, it's going to constantly be a circular rotation of one guy has a great week and then the next week it's a whole different guy. So I'm sticking with my 2 on Damien Harris.
I think I'm slightly more confident. I'll give it a 3. Maybe if I have a full belly, a 3.5. But because I think that he's the guy that shows the most juice of anybody in that backfield. I mean, we sort of know what James White is. Rex Burkhead is kind of a nice fill-in when they need to, and he can do a lot of different things. But I do think at some point they want a guy that they feel like can be a consistent workhorse back or something close to it, and I think that's going to be Damien Harris. I think he's ready to push Sony Michel out of a job whenever Michel is back healthy and ready to play again for New England. So I do think there is an element of concern there, as always. I mean, Bellatrix can always rear their ugly head once in a while, and I do think at some point Cam Newton is going to continue to run the football because that makes this offense more dynamic, especially if they can't throw it consistently because of their pass catcher situation. So there are concerns, there are reasons to be a little bit skeptical of Damien Harris, but I think he's sort of the best back that the Patriots have right now, and so for that reason, I am slightly more confident. I'm not ready to go all in. I'm not ready to push all the chips into the table for Damien Harris just yet, but I am feeling a little bit better about what I've seen. Meanwhile, for the rest of you out there, if you guys want to vote on which of these guys you feel the most confident in going forward, you can go to Kimmy Checks' Twitter page at twitter.com/KimmyChecks. You can vote there and let us know your thoughts on which of these running backs you think has the most staying power beyond week 8.